I'm Kahja Elliott, and I'm a food enthusiast. Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming. And I talk to people about how they create community through food in the Bay and beyond. Welcome to the As Told By podcast. We're back with this week's episode of the As Told By podcast. I'm on location today, so this is my first location of the season, and I'm in one of my favorite places, ATL. My guest today was born and raised in New Orleans, and with the privilege of growing up experiencing its rich culture and tradition, she's carrying forward her family's sweet history of confections in Louisiana with Chay's New Orleans Candies, home of the award-winning original Creole pretzels, which we absolutely going to talk about those, as well as a number of other small batch sweet treats. Welcome, Channon Chay Powell, owner of Chay's New Orleans Candies.
Thank you, Kahja.
Yes. I am so excited to have you here.
I am excited to be here.
Now, Channon, for the audience, let me just give them a little history because you and me go way back.
Yes, ma'am.
I used to live in Atlanta, and we used to work together at the same company. This was before you started your business as a full-time business.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you were slinging these pretzels and these sweet treats in the office, and you had a captive audience because they were good then and they still good now. Yes.
Thank you.
How you been?
Yes, I've been good, girl. Yeah, we definitely go back. From the corporate world to now the food truck world. But yeah, we definitely go back, and if it wasn't for y'all, I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Wow.
Because all the support and when we were there, and the encouragement, and is what led me to, after that, being there, made me want to start my business and go full time.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to get into it. So if y'all couldn't hear already, and of course I mentioned Channon, you are from New Orleans.
Yes.
I love the accent.
Born and raised.
Yes. This is a signature question for the podcast.
Okay.
I feel like I know a little bit about this because I do know a little, some of your family members. But what kind of food family do you come from?
Food. Oh, that's a, whew. When I tell you, I'll be so blessed just thinking about it.
I bet.
Because and I was just talking about this the other day. You don't know how much you appreciate your family and the food culture until you leave it. So, and I don't know, we're going to get into it, but yeah, born and raised in New Orleans. And so I come from a place where we're known for food. And so that's not lost on me, that's what it is, And so my family, we love food, and this just carries through. So when I moved to Atlanta, I was like, oh, this not the same. It's not the same. So, but we still cook, and cook the food that we grew up in, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're definitely the food family.
Throwing it down.
Okay.
Throwing down.
Yes.
Yeah. And to that point, I know that you were raised with visibility to entrepreneurship through your father.
Right.
Who, I know you mentioned that on your site, that he had a number of businesses, but one that became the inspiration for Chay. So talk a little bit about what that business was and what your visibility to entrepreneurship was growing up.
Yeah, my dad was a quintessential business person. He was always coming up with a business idea and did well. He was on-road, long-distance trucker. He did that for a while. He owned a tow truck business that did well. And I always tell, we always talk about this, he was ahead of his time. I think he transitioned from that blue collar work. I mean, it's still, I do consider myself a blue collar worker, even though, I'm an entrepreneur. But he always felt like he wanted to be a transformer, be the trailblazer. And he used to, like I said, we come from a family that cooked. And so he saw a need because he always loved sweets. Love
Don't
sweets,
we all?
right? And so he thought of a way to like make sweets, package them, and ship them to people that did not live in New Orleans. So because New Orleans is known for food and not everybody lives there, he was thinking maybe I should, make it available for people to get these items that don't live here. And that was in let me see, the late 80s, 90s.
Okay.
Before internet, before e-commerce. You know what I'm saying? And when you had to seek out that kind of stuff, and it wasn't the easiest way.
Before
and
Gold Belly and all the things.
Before all of that.
Yes.
And so he was doing that, and he was doing that on part-time, and then that didn't go well, and so he said, well, let me just stick to local, because this is not the easiest thing to pull off. And so he started this candy business, and he took a combination of recipes that he created and some recipes that were passed down through the family, and the rest is history. He did that for a while. I was in high school when he started this business, so I remember when we had 0 customers. I remember this was no internet, so he had to find a way to market the business outside of just a regular, because you highly competitive market there. Everybody has something to offer food wise, so passing out flyers and all this kind of stuff. So entrepreneurship is definitely in my blood because of seeing him. He found a way to make it work, and it worked for a while. And then he got cancer and he passed away, but we still doing it.
Yeah.
And the legacy still is going on because of us, myself and my brother. So
yeah. Shout out to brother Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Yes.
I call him Bear.
Okay.
Everybody knows that
Yes.
he's a brother Bear.
Brother
when you see
Bear.
him, you understand why.
Yeah. So you went to school, to college in New Orleans. You then moved to Atlanta. What do you feel like, looking back in those early days when you were just selling like within friends and family, right? When that was your customer base.
Right.
What do you feel like, looking back, made you start to feel like doing this as a business was a viable option?
Okay. When I first started, I did it because I liked it, but I also did it because it was a need at the time. I'm not going to lie. When you and I worked together, I mean, that was good. That was great money.
It was good money and good benefits.
And great benefits. I mean, I wasn't missing no beats.
Nope.
Okay. So the only reason why I started it is because we got laid off I don't remember how you fared out in that, but I know the first time.
Girl, I got fired for workplace violence before the layoffs happened. If y'all been on my Instagram, you remember that story I told y'all? That was this job.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, Kahja.
Girl, it was trumped up charges. I'll tell you the story on the back end.
Yeah, you're going to have to let me know that. I got the feeling.
I didn't make it to the layoff.
About that. Okay. Well, the first layoff, I was like, oh well, I guess I'll collect unemployment until I find another job. And then this was like the first when they had the big I was gonna say housing, but the crash,
The recession.
Yeah, the recession. And so, I was just living off unemployment, and I was like, oh, I'm going to find me another job. Ain't no big deal. And then when I saw it was getting harder to find another job, I said, oh, no.
It might be a big deal.
Yeah. It's a huge deal. So I don't know. It was just maybe the ancestors supposed to be. I don't know. I said, well, I could just, because everybody knows the cake lady or whoever that goes to the barbershops and the beauty shops, and I used to buy from them, and I said, well, why, can't I just make a little pocket change and just sell some things that I can make up, cake or whatever I can do. Because at the time, that's what I did. I did cake. I wasn't primarily candy. I did like more cake and things like that because it was easier to sell. People could recognize that.
Yep. And
I went to the barbershops and beauty shops because I said, well, let me just make a little extra money. And I don't know, just started doing that, and it did well, and people were like, all right, this is good. Can you come back next week? And I was thinking, okay, all right, well, I can do that. And then it became a routine. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I can. But I was so not liking it because I'm not a salesperson like that. I'm more of a,
Hey, I got this over here.
yeah,
If you want some.
yeah, it's not. I hustle in moments. Like I said, I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, so I knew what to do. But I don't always feel comfortable like my dad did to just sell himself and get out there. But I didn't have a choice. Either I was going to sell it or not. So just getting out there, and this is where my brother comes in, because he's the actual showman, salesman, extrovert that just loves to be out there. So I would bring him along with me, and he was like, hey, everybody, we're here.
Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room?
Right.
One of those.
So yeah, that's how that happened. It wasn't because, and so once I started doing that, and then I did get called back again from Avaya again, and I was like, well, that's that. I was done with that. I was like, well, thank you. Thank y'all, everybody, for support me for these few months.
Thank y'all for coming out.
I'm going back to my corporate job. And I was done with that, but people would call me, and then I would still do it just during the holidays, and and then the second layoff, I was like, oh, shoot. But I had already built up a rapport. I already had some clients. So it was nothing to just transition. I mean, I'm saying nothing, but it was something on the table, so I can just transition and do it full time. So
it's so interesting when you tell that story that, things are happening to us and we don't realize that, like, we're being prepped for something. Because who would think I'm going to get laid off, they're going to bring me back, and then that same job is going to lay me off again. Right. But it's like what you were doing in the in-between time made all the difference, because you talked about, selling cake and, these are the things that a lot of us think of when we think of Black foodways back in the day, the candy lady. Like that was something I learned about when I moved to the South for the first time. I didn't know what that was, but we had a version of that in the Bronx. Okay. But like anywhere you have Black culture and community, you have people like selling dinners. You go to the church, sell dinners, and you always have people that are creating like a little micro industry for themselves, doing those exact things. So that was the starting ground for you. And we talked about this is a family business. I remember when you started, your mom will be working with you too. How did you keep the family business and the family separate? Or did you?
Now, that is such a good question. I did not, which is so crazy because people don't realize this about me, but in my career, I've never not worked with family. Really? I had to think about that. I said, when have I ever not? Because my dad had his business. I've been working since I was like 15 or something. And so my dad had his business. I worked with my dad throughout high school and college. After college, I worked as a YMCA counselor with my brother Jason at the time. Then my mother, who worked with a phone company, she was able to help me get the job with the phone service, the phone company that am I allowed to say who it was? Oh, Lucent Technologies. At the time, it was Lucent Technologies. And so I was able to get on with her. So I worked with her until she retired. This is so crazy. And then once I got laid off and it became Avaya, and I got laid off again, then I started my business full time with Jason again. So I've always worked with family.
Now look at that. It's like, we're going to stay together. I'm going to stick beside her.
I know. It's such a I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, but that's just what happened. Yeah.
So even in like working for a family business, we talked a little bit about the method or like the setup for your business in the beginning. There was no storefront initially. So talk about what the early days of doing this as a full-time business look like as far as fulfillment and inventory, because most people don't start out in a commercial kitchen. Most people don't start out like with a shipping system. You're just kind of figuring this thing out as it evolves. So what was that like when you first went full-time in the business and you're like, okay, now it's my job to produce?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that nobody can prepare you for. I mean, all the classes you can take, business. I mean, I went to school for business management. I mean, business administration and marketing, and even with that, it's just that's something that you learn over time, and as you get into the business and know what the needs are, the customer needs are, and so forth and so on. When I started as a table and tent vendor. So those markets are different than a storefront, or even now as I segued into the food truck business. So those markets I started off at Fulton County, where it was open to the public, but also employees were there at the market. And so those were very, very small markets. So it was like trying to navigate, just trying to say, okay, forecast how many people are going to be there, and not really wanting to spend that much on inventory because you might not sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So luckily I did for the most part, but not always, and so you got to think about those type of things. So
because cake is not going to be holding forever.
No. And so I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's how I segued out of the cake more. We're doing cake now, but initially I was doing cake when I was going to the barbershops and beauty shops, and then if I didn't sell it, now I'm having to throw it away, and that hurt my feelings. I don't want to. I don't want to throw this away.
Y'all don't want this cake,
right? So with the candy, it lasts a little longer. So that's when I started doing mostly the candy, the New Orleans traditional pralines. And the Creole pretzels, which is what we're known for, which is the buttery caramel toffee praline covered pretzel, which those last longer. And
not in my house.
Right. And so I am still, I that's where I retained the name Candy Lady, because that's why I started doing the candy, because I knew in terms of fulfillment and it would last a little bit longer, and I would be, it would preserve within the temperatures and and transporting it to events and things like that. So
yeah, made it easier to scale it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, even though you didn't start in a storefront, you did scale at a point to a retail space. I remember you were in Cumberland Mall. So take us through, for those of y'all listening who don't know, Cumberland is a large mall out here in Cobb County. And she had a storefront in there. We were too excited. One, because, we didn't have to maybe look for a pop-up. We could just pull up in the mall on any given day, and purchase. But also, she was growing, because we had seen her, from selling in the cubicle next to us, and now she was in the mall. So take us through how that came to be and how it ended, and then also what you feel were your biggest operational learnings on the other side of that.
Okay. So I'd have to start from, there was something in between there, because like I said, I was a table and tent vendor, and then I owned the food truck. So the food truck was the prequel to the storefront.
Okay.
And so the food truck was now that to me put me in front of more people. I was able to be mobile and get my name out there more, which did lead me to the storefront. So once we got the storefront, and a lot of people don't understand, the mall business is not for the faint of heart. Okay, you talking about lessons. So when I got the opportunity to be in the mall, it was at that time I just wanted to be somewhere. I was looking for a place, like you said, so I can set up shop, and so people wouldn't have to worry about chasing behind me on the mobile trucks. But there's pros and cons to everything. So when they presented me the offer, it was on a temporary lease. Okay. Now I knew going in that there was a possibility that I wouldn't be there forever. But the lease was a flexible lease. So they could terminate at any time. I couldn't, but there was some conditions there. And so long story short, got in there, did well, was growing my business and everything like that. and they were making some operational changes which did not include us. And so now keep in mind, when I went in there, I make everything from scratch. There was no have a storefront here and then make it somewhere else. So I had to build out the space
for production.
Yeah, for production. And that wasn't cheap. Now, this is not my space. See, this is the learning lesson after the fact. I'm like, I put all this money into building the space out, and it's not my space. I'm not even secure in a lease.
Got it. I hear you.
You know, but it was the promise of, oh, you know, you're going to have this visibility. And I did, you know, but after it didn't work for them anymore, that was it. And we were there for less than 2 years. And so that was definitely a learning lesson. Not only that, that was my first time working with staff, that I had to hire staff. I had staff before because I was at the food truck park full time. That was before the mall. So like I said, the food truck really propelled me to be in the mall. And I had staff there, but you know, I didn't have any issues with payroll and people being there. I mean, it was a challenge. But then I get to this opportunity, and when I'm not as there, because you have the mall hours. Y'all know, y'all go to the mall. Oh, you know, it's open many hours.
Yes,
like
you got to be on time. You can't be calling in sick. All the things.
And this is open 7 days a week, and I don't have autonomy over the business as far as, okay, it's, you know, I want to be open 5 days. No, you have to be open when the mall is open. So that was another challenge, you know. So I had to staff it all the time. So I'm there too, but then I'm also having to staff it. And then I realized, you know, my numbers they're not checking out as much as they should be. A nice way to say that people stealing from me.
What?
Yes. Stealing.
Wow.
And
people ain't right.
This is another lesson. Okay. I
can see why you've been working with your family.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
That's a good lesson. I'm telling you, because, and these are people I knew, some of these people I knew that helped me on the food truck.
Wow.
The thing is I was doing all kind of different things. I was managing the Cumberland Mall. I was still managing food truck events. I had all kind of stuff going on. And I was also taking cash. So if I come back from an event, I had cash here, I had cash then taken up at the store. So they was stealing. Wow. And I didn't realize it until I started really, you know, going through my paperwork and my numbers and things, and something ain't adding up. And I'm like, I know these people wouldn't do this to me.
Because you don't want to accuse anybody.
Right.
Wow.
That wasn't the case. So that was a learning lesson. So no cash. I don't accept no cash. Sorry. You better have a credit card.
Come on and tap. You know, this is, I love that this is coming up because, you know, now we are in, you know, there's an entrepreneur everywhere you look, right? And I'm going to put up air quotes on that because there's a spectrum, right? Of what does that actually mean? But in this conversation that exists around it now, people are always driving scaling and growth, especially in the CPG space and consumer packaged goods. You know, you want to get on the Publix shelves, you want to get on the Safeway shelves, but you need to really think about what that comes with and what that looks like. And I've been fortunate to get some proximity to some people who run a CPG business. There's just a lot of things on the back end to be considered. You might think that is, you know, your goal, what you want to have happen, but maybe not right now, maybe not in a storefront. There's so many considerations, and it's almost never going to be the same for two people. It's nuanced.
That's right.
It could be two CPGs, similar businesses, start at similar times, and it works completely differently.
That's right. Yeah. And I want to speak to that because I speak with my colleagues all the time, and even my family. That is a fine line with that. And I know even with me leaving the shop at Cumberland Mall and going back full-time mobile, my customers hearing that, and these customers, thankfully, these customers, which I call my Chay J's family because they've been around since the beginning. At this point, it's been several years. I mean, I've been doing this. Sometimes I even can't think of how many years. I don't even think about it, but it's been over 15 years. And so a lot of these customers I know for years, and a couple of them, maybe, well, you're thinking about getting a storefront. And I'm like, I always tell them, yeah, but it has to be the right situation, the right time, the right everything, because this is nothing to sneeze at. When I tell you tired, when I tell you, yeah, you making more money, but it comes with a sacrifice. So all of that comes with something. Yeah, so you'll scale, but it, maybe it don't taste quite the same or whatever. So that's things that I'm thinking about, So not saying that won't never happen. If the right opportunity, I find the right co-packer, the right employees, the right everything, then yeah. But I'm not in a rush to get into something just for it not to work. That's just not what I want to do. So I'm the slow and steady,
And
so
that's,
yeah.
So haste makes waste.
Right. Yeah.
We've all heard that growing up. So now you're back in the truck model. Right?
Yes.
What is like one or two of the biggest differences, just high level, between, of course, there's the agility and you can be in different places, but just from a functional perspective, what are some of the biggest differences between being in a storefront or in a fixed location and being in a truck where you're doing more of a pop-up?
Yeah. The biggest to me is people can find you. I don't have to always go out and make sure that I'm accessible to the customer. The storefront, it's the reverse. They become accessible to you. They come to you. So it's in that aspect, I do prefer that, because you're there a set number of hours. You don't have to worry about, because right now, even though it does work, I'm not saying like it's pros and cons. There is a lot of business that I probably do miss out on because I'm only there a certain amount of time, and I work, Chay, or I'm not able to come this week or whatever like that. And so if you have a storefront, there's a set number of hours, 7 days a week. People can come whenever they want. It's more flexible for the customer. With the food truck business model, it's more flexible. It'll be better for me. It's more, you're working basically on my time, and how I might see fit and how it might work to, get things done and get this, the pop-ups scheduled. And like I said, there's pros and cons to that, so at this point, I try to make it have several ways for people to order. I have pickups, I can do a scheduled pickup. The thing is, I'm living, my pop-ups are far away from my pickup area, so now Atlanta is not small,
right?
So you have
the traffic ain't small either. Going from one side of town to the other,
so you just have to, those type of situations where sometimes people don't want to travel far, and so it's just one of those things where you just have to work it out. But I always say that if you really, really want it, trust me, I have customers that have come from out of town.
I'm one of them. I would hit you up when I was coming in town and be like, Shannon, where you going to be at?
Right.
Because I'm going to be in town and I want to pull up.
Yeah.
So when people, that's one thing about pop-ups that I'm sure has been helpful for you in just gauging your business is if people have to look for you, and they do, and they track you down, they really want it.
Yeah.
Because they're making it a point to find where you are.
Exactly. And so that's why I said I always try to make it, as much as I can, but you can't never, be everywhere at one time and, be on everybody's schedule. It's just impossible. So it's just trying to find a happy medium where I can set up a pop-up time where I know most people will be able to make it. And then outside of those pop-up hours, if you're able to pick up, even though it is kind of far for some people, if they want it, they can definitely get it, and then I ship, the shipping is a great option for a lot of people, but even that, some people, I want to get it from you, so you deal with that too.
They want to see your smiling face over their pretzels and sweets. Okay then.
Yeah, so it's like, what can you say,
I'll tell you, you ain't gonna be able to do everything at once. I get it. Well, we've been talking about the product, so kind of walk us through what it is that you offer. I know we talked about the pretzels, but walk us through all the things that you make.
Okay, so the pretzels is our biggest seller, our signature item. This is the one that put us on the map.
The number one stunner.
Right. This is a family recipe. This is my dad's recipe, and it is a praline caramel toffee, buttery caramel toffee, praline covered pretzel with pecans. And we also have gourmet popcorn. That came a little later. I didn't start with that, but in the height of the Garrett's phenomenon, which everybody knows Garrett's, and so we say, well, I could do that. I mean, so I use the same type of covering that's on the pretzels on the popcorn, and it's really, really a hit. So I have the Creole Crunch, which is butter caramel toffee popcorn, and then I have cheesy Big Easy. Look, I try to be cute with these names, y'all.
That is a cute name. That is it.
I try to tie the names to the city, and don't be alarmed, because a lot of the product names have Creole in front of them, and I know a lot of people think it's spicy, but Creole is also a culture. We are Creole people, so and we do produce Creole food, and it is not just the savory food. Is also applies to the sweets. If you go to New Orleans, they will call the candies Creole candies. So a lot of people don't know that. I have to give them a little education.
Come on now.
But so we have beignet popcorn, and I know a lot of people are familiar with beignets. So it's just a popcorn version. It's a chocolate toffee popcorn topped with powdered sugar and white chocolate. Very good. I've added the Creole, the cookies and cream crunch, which is similar because everybody loves the Oreo, so I have that. And then you get into the baked goods. We're talking about the sweet potato pies. Everybody knows that.
That pie. That's all I'm going to say. That pie.
Kahja loves the pie. I remember
do.
even from when we used to work together. Yeah. Everybody has their favorite. So that's hers, and that's a lot of people's favorite. And then the praline pecan pie, that's popular as well. So now, Kahja, we've come full circle. Now we do sell cake again.
Okay.
So let me tell you how that came about. So when I was at Cumberland Mall, there was a guy that worked across from me that was it was a hair salon. He was a hairdresser, and he was from New Orleans. Hey Ed, look, cook. Okay, used to bring me lunch. I would be tired, and he would. I just loved him, and he would bring me all kind of stuff. He would cook and stuff, and bring me lunch and stuff. And he brought me some ooey gooey cake one time. And ooey gooey cake, I don't know if people know what that is, but it's like, it's hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it.
I heard.
I don't know. It's like it melts in your mouth. It's it's like a chest pie, but then I don't know if people know what that is. I don't know how to explain it, y'all.
I know what it is.
You can
y'all
Google it,
y'all.
Go
look up your black Southern foods.
Right. But he made that, and he used to bring it to the shop all the time. And I said, dang, Ed, my customers will really love this. And he said, well, I can make it, So I started buying it wholesale from him, and I started making it. Selling it at the shop, and it went crazy. When I tell you crazy, people were buying it at the shop. They were buying it on the food truck and all of that. Ed left me, y'all.
Ed?
He ended up moving back to New Orleans. And so I said, dog, how am I make this? Not my recipe.
You got me out here now.
Right. I said, I can't, So I tried to make it, but it wasn't the same. And so people, I said, because people would ask me, where's the ooey gooey cake? I had to explain, the person that's. So we didn't have cake for a while. And then something told me, it's like, people keep asking me for cakes. I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing cake again. I mean, I didn't want to because I have enough on my plate. But so now we're doing cake. And so when I tell you that's going well, people love the cake. We have sweet potato pound cake, Biscoff buttermilk pound cake, which is all the rave because, everybody loves a good Biscoff cookie.
They were sticking them in the yogurt just here recently on the internet, but this sounds a lot better than that.
It is very good.
Okay.
And so we strawberries and cream buttermilk pound cake this weekend for Valentine's Day. So, and then what else? And then we started doing, last but not least, lemonades. And the reason why that started at the food truck park, because we had other food trucks and people were looking for, something, they will always come up to us, do you have drinks? And we never did. So we started doing handcrafted lemonades, and those are doing well too. So, and you can also buy those and refrigerate them, and we sell them about a gallon, half gallon. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's something people can kind of take with them or enjoy it.
Right.
There. And as you're talking through some of these things, particularly, the praline stuck out to me because that's one of those things that has ties to other regions as well. Like if you go to Savannah and the Low Country, like you'll see it there. Talk about what are some of like the differences or the hallmarks about the New Orleans version.
Okay. And that's what I forgot to mention, that we do the pralines, y'all. And the only difference I'm going to say that I can see, now other New Orleanians might think differently, is that the name.
Okay.
In the different recipe, we say praline, they say praline. In other regions of Savannah and Georgia, and I don't know who else has praline. Well, here in Atlanta and other places, maybe in the Carolinas or something, I don't know. But they say praline and we say praline. But everybody has a different recipe. But it's all made with sugar, butter, cream, pecans, and flavorings.
Yours got some Bacardi in it. You got one.
I do
with the rum,
alcohol infused one. Yes. I do the Bacardi rum, and then the Bananas Foster, which has the banana rum.
They ain't doing that in some other places.
No.
Yeah, because that's very, it's very much on brand.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, people love the product. And you had one of, the most notable people come through and give a lot of love to the product. Keith Lee.
Yes.
So, okay, listen, I want to talk all about this because, first of all, if you're listening from the Bay Area, we put an asterisk next to Keith Lee because he came through, girl, and read us for filth. The Bay Area, he did not have a good time. So, we don't know how we feel about Keith Lee. We want him to come back, but we almost like, do we want you to come back? But if we take our personal beef out of it, I would love to know from somebody who it actually happened to, because I think people imagine what it is or speculate what it is, but I want to know, what is the Keith Lee effect? When he comes through and puts you on blast, what happened next?
Y'all, let me tell you, I'm going to be for real, I did not know who he was. Did not know. My brother was on TikTok. I never knew what I was old school Facebook, Instagram girly. So I knew what TikTok was, but I want to say I had an account, but I wasn't ever on there. And Jason was telling me, hey, they have these food influencers. Have you thought about sending them your stuff? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And he was like, okay. And then he said, I'm a contact one. And then if I get in contact one, would you mind sending them your stuff? And I said, sure. And he came back, Chay, Keith Lee said you can send him stuff, because you don't want to just blind send stuff, and I've done that before when I started, and that was a nightmare, because then people don't know who you are, they send it back, or it just goes into oblivion. You don't know what happened to your stuff. So I stopped doing that. So you always want to clear it first.
Yeah.
So he contacted him. He said, sure, send it. And so I didn't even, girl, I was like, I'm busy. Like I had other orders that day or something going on. And I was like, I'll get to it. And then Jason said, no, you don't understand. You have to send it today. And I say, okay. So I sent it. Right. So, I want to say a couple of days later, because we're in Atlanta, and I think he was in Vegas at the time. I don't know if he still lives in Vegas. So we sent it there, and I want to say it was like 3 days later, and my brother comes running like downstairs, in my room. I don't know what I was doing at the time, and he goes, oh my God. He was like, look at your phone. He was like, he did a review. And I said, who? Girl, I forgot that quick. And he said, Keith Lee. And I said, okay. I said, the guy that I sent the stuff to. He said, yeah. And I said, oh, what? And then right when he said that, my phone, bing, 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 orders coming in. Bing, 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 bing.
Not just followers, orders.
Yeah. Bing, bing. And I was like, wait a minute. He got it like that? And he said, yeah, I told you. And I said, what? So I looked at the review and I said, wow, right? So then because I was getting all these orders, Kahja, I was not ready. See, this was in December. I never forget, December 2022. I was already busy because of the holidays, right? And so wasn't prepared. I didn't have extra inventory like we were talking about earlier about having your inventory and all of that. I didn't have that ready. So I was like, oh my God, you know? And so, the Keeley effect is real. And let me tell you, two things. One, because I wasn't ready, I had some growing pains on shipping partner that was not conducive to shipping out all the time. We would ship, but here and there. And so the shipping wasn't really the most affordable price. And so that was the main feedback that I got quickly. They were like, how much for this shipping? And I was like, y'all, I'm not making no money. They're thinking I'm making money off this. And so I had to do a separate video and say, no, I'm not making money. I had to hurry up and find another shipping partner. So because I was losing business, even though I was getting business,
like
I was
abandoned
losing
carts and stuff.
Yeah. So I was like, oh Lord, so clear that up. And I want to say we got ordered now, when he did the only thing I would say about Keith Lee's review, which was phenomenal, he didn't know we had a food truck. Oh. So a lot of people didn't know unless they knew who we were and did the research. The online business was just incredible, and so the local food truck business was okay, but the spike that I did receive was for online. I want to say 2 years straight. I was getting
Popping.
It was crazy, and it's just not slowing down only because that the key, but I still have lots of customers from it.
So they stayed. That was my other question.
We
what's the
retained a
retention?
lot. Yeah, the retention is unbelievable. Yeah. So, and but as far as like that Keith Lee initial effect,
it's
boom,
real.
Boom, boom. I want to say at least for 2 years straight.
Okay, now that's a long tail. So
2 years.
You are bringing up things that I think are so important because, we hear this all the time referred to as a hype cycle. Like if you end up on the Oprah's favorite list or like a Keith Lee comes through. And even though it can be like a growing pain, it does immediately indicate gaps. Right. And then you get an opportunity to go ahead and fill them because now a certain kind of light got put on it in a moment's notice.
Right.
But it just makes you stronger as a business because it may have taken you however long to realize this shipping situation is just maybe not going to be long term. Right. You wouldn't have seen that unless a situation came along and now you had to hurry up and change it in a moment's notice. Even when it seems like things are coming up that's like a nuisance or a problem, it's that pivoting to be like, okay, what are we about to learn from this? What are we about to change from this? Because 2 years is a long time. Not only does it speak to your ability to hurry up and convert from a systems perspective, but then it's also the product. Because I'm one of those people who will order things that have a regional footprint that I don't know anything about because I'm trying to learn about the food culture in other regions. And if I have a bad experience, it's going to be a one-hitter quitter. I'm never going to order that again. But there are like small local brands that have me as a regular customer. There's one in Detroit. Shout out to Bon 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 Chocolate. I just happened to be visiting Detroit. I was in Eastern Market and they were vending in the market that particular day.
Oh, wow.
I bought a little 4-pack. I didn't even eat it while I was there.
I wonder if they were to also, because they sound familiar. I wonder if they also got a Keith Lee review. You sound familiar.
Might. I'll check. It's a small chocolatier based in the suburbs of Detroit, but I didn't even eat the product. I just threw it in my suitcase, took it home, and when I got home, it was not only was it good, but I loved the packaging. Like it just was well done. And now I'm shipping chocolate every other month from Detroit. Now they got me as a customer because all those components were there. Yeah. So, okay, the Keith Lee effect.
And he is real. A nice guy. And then not only that, right after he did the review, my brother, because my brother's the one that inboxed him initially, and then they spoke on inbox, DM'd each other, and he said thank you. And then I did a video thanking him, and he responded. I mean, very nice guy. It was so crazy. We're birthday twins.
Oh,
Yeah, he and I
okay.
share a birthday. I say that's why.
Okay, well, that's why it's connected. All right, Keith.
Yeah,
We'll take our heel off your neck just a little bit from the Bay Area because you did my girl right.
Oh no.
I guess. We're talking about the business and your family's history. You have taken something that you love and that you have like warm, fuzzy memories for, and you've turned it into a business, which can make people sometimes stop loving it. Do you
Oh,
do you
yeah.
still love it?
I still love it. Now, I'm not going to say I love it every day. Okay. That's just like a marriage. I'm sure I've never been married, but that's, what I'm, it's just one of those things where you take the good with the bad and then you make the bad better as much as you can. There's days where I don't feel well. I had, some incidents where I had to go, I had, pulled the muscle or something. I still don't know what happened. I had to go to the hospital, and business doesn't stop when that happens. You don't have leave time
PTO.
and sick leave and all that. You got to keep it moving. So I mean, as much as possible, so when things like that, and sometimes you get frustrated. I mean, things don't always go 100% great. We're human, subject to human error. What I will say about myself is that I will, figure out a way to make it right. If there's something going on with someone's order, and maybe it's just a bad day for me or whatever. And trust me, I'm a phone call away. I always tell my customers, call me. We'll make it right. I'm not about just putting anything out there. The main thing for me is I want people to enjoy my product.
Yep.
We have to charge because we live in a capitalistic society. You understand? But I do this because I really genuinely love it, and I really feel like the product is good, and I put my heart and soul in it, and I want people to enjoy it. I don't want to sell people stuff and it be, just to make the money, and say, oh, I made this year and that's what's important. No, that's it. That's important because you have to make money because we live, we have to pay bills, but I really do want people to love and enjoy it. Now, everybody's not going to like it, and I understand that. That comes with it, but ultimately that's my goal. And as long as that is achieved, I'm good.
Yeah.
The all of that will come and go. The recognition and all of that, I know as long as I keep providing good product, all of that will come. Just like Keeley, even with him, he's such a worldwide name now that I put him on everything.
As you
it's like the
should.
Oprah, like you said, the Oprah effect. So, but other than that, that's what it is. And no, you're not gonna like it every day, but it is what it is. You just keep going.
Yeah. We're in this space right now where so many people unfortunately have been laid off, and you came to entrepreneurship as a result of being laid off. Looking back, do you think if that had never happened, do you think you would have done this?
I don't think so. I'm gonna be real, because I was too comfortable. See, with entrepreneurship, you can't be comfortable. You have to. It's a risk that's involved with taking it, and I think that if I did not get laid off, I don't know if I would have done it. This would have been my journey. I'm gonna be honest. I think that because the money was so good and the benefits, and you had pay vacation and all that stuff, and that's why when people say everybody should be an entrepreneur, I don't think everybody should. I think that it is good and bad with everything. I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to love what you do, and you have to realize that it's not going to come easy, and it's the reward of it. Well, that's just my perspective, because I know people do things for money too, but my perspective is when things aren't always going great, the love will carry you through for it. You know what I'm saying? But I think because I got laid off, that was just the next step, and I think that was just the divine order, for me. I can't think of anything else. My dad passed away. I think that might have been another reason. Thinking about it, because he loved it, and then he was always so so entrepreneurial. When he died, I had the flavor because I use special flavoring. He had bought the flavoring for me that I kept because I didn't want to do it at first. And then when he passed, that same flavoring he bought before he died, I used to start my business.
Wow.
Stuff like that. So, I mean, I just think that it was just something I was supposed to do. It's just it was supposed to be this way. Not that I would have made the decision on my own. I just think that it was just something that, due to circumstances, due to what layoff, my dad passed, and just this is something I'm just supposed to do.
Yeah. And sometimes, life was send us in a direction we wouldn't think about, wasn't looking at.
Right.
Yet here we are. What's your vision for Chay J's years from now? I know we talked about growth and scaling, and that means different things to different people.
Right.
But ultimately, what does that mean for you?
So I always say this, and I don't know if people know New Orleans, they could look it up, or I don't know if people be familiar with it, but I'm going to say that I always look to Leah Chase. Leah Chase is one of my pioneers and heroes. She's a lady that owned Dookie Chase in New Orleans, and she built her business from nothing. It was a humble beginning for her, and she had that one restaurant. And she died, I think, in her 80s or 90s or whatever, but her restaurant was world famous. World famous. It was visited by presidents, President Obama, all kind of, dignitaries and celebrities and things like that. I think that that's what I want to be, just well known for what I do. And like I said, it's about people and enjoying it. I think the next step for me is to keep growing. I do want to get a storefront at some point. Like I said, I think that will be the next step. And still have, my food truck. I love the food truck business. I think that that's a staple for me at this point. But the storefront, I think getting a storefront, having my food truck, and just having it grow so everybody knows, like Chay J's would be a household name. It doesn't have to be Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
but enough where people know this is a specialty item and this is good, and if we want something unique, we're gonna go to Chay J's.
Okay. Well, look, if you coming up in the ranks of Leah Chase, you coming up in good ranks. I have loved this conversation. Tell people where they can find out more about Chay J's and where they can buy.
Yes. So if you are in the Atlanta area, and I know this confuses people because I'll say I'm from New Orleans, it's Chay J's New Orleans Candies. Everybody always assumes without thinking that we're, coming. I don't know why they think we coming back and forth from New Orleans. That's so silly. They people ask, oh, you live here? I thought you live in. No, I live here.
I'm here.
But if you're in the Atlanta area, you can find us at our pop-up shops that are usually by the Braves Stadium in Smyrna. So I always tell people, follow us on the social media, or you can join our email and text message distribution list that you can find on the website to keep up where we are. We always do the Smyrna Food Truck Tuesday. If we get in this year, because we do have to apply every year, this will be I'm losing count, I think our 13th or 14th season. So that is a big deal. That runs from May to September. If you're not in that Atlanta area, we can ship to you. And so it's chayjs.com, CHAYJS.com. And we can ship in the continental U.S. And we do catering. In fact, I have a catering event after I leave here. And we cater, we ship. We have our pop-up shops. I'm trying to think what else. Go to chayjs.com. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Look, I just told Kahja we're going to try to do more content.
Okay.
Because even though I am a little shy, I am a little silly, and I think people like that. So we're going to try to do more content.
We love to see it.
So I already have some stuff up, so y'all go check it out. But yeah, so just, it's not hard. I always tell people it's not hard to find me, So I'm always accessible, social media. Give us a call if you want to figure out where we are that weekend if you can't find it. And we're here.
And
Atlanta.
I'll share it out too.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I wrap us up with 5 fun rapid fire questions?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Aside from at your family's table, where's one place you never go to New Orleans without eating?
Oh man, I never. Dang, what's the name? On the West Bank, not the West Bank. Yeah, come back to it because I can't think. Where I haven't been home in a while, y'all. So,
That's okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna come back to it. Are there youngins in your family who are learning the candy making business from you?
I don't. I have some cousins, some baby. Well, I call them baby cousins, but they in their 20s now, and so
that's a baby.
Yeah, basically. They don't live here. They live in New Orleans, so I don't see them a lot. The last time I saw them, they came last year. So, but they know they've been knowing me. You know, they know about the business. So they will be influenced by me if anybody. My baby cousins.
Okay.
So
They're coming up Shay J's part 2.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What's the most creative way you've ever seen customers use any of the products where you had to say, "Oh, why didn't I think of that?"
Oh. Why didn't I think of that? Or I thought you was going somewhere else with this question because I had an answer for another thing.
No, well, tell me if you saw something else creative.
Well, I have an account every year with Coca-Cola, and they order a whole bunch of gifts for their employees for during the Christmas time, right? So when I drop it off, they're always so excited. Oh, we look forward to this every year, and I'm like, oh, I love that, and then one of the organizers that order from every year, she let it slip that they keep it or some of the jars on stash for like months, and then they give it to people that come, I guess Coca-Cola executives or whatever, because they want to make sure that they have my product. I said no. This is December. How long are you keeping this?
Don't get nobody a pretzel that been sitting.
You can reorder this. And she's like, oh no, but it's still good. Oh my God, you don't know this stuff lasts. No.
Don't put me out there like that, y'all. I could give you fresh pretzels.
Right. I said, how long are you keeping? Right. So yeah. I thought you were going with that, but I've had people to, I don't know. I haven't had anybody make anything with it really. I've had people put it in the freezer. Like I've heard those type of stories, like weird stuff like that, like keeping it for long periods of time. But I don't know. I've had people try to make it.
Oh, they try to go knock it off?
They've asked me, well, how do you do it? And I'm like, ma'am, I can't tell you that now.
Come on. Come on now. You know what I may do if they make it home? I ordered some, so I have some here. But if they make it back with me to the bay, I may like crush it down to like a very fine powder in my food processor and like use it. You know how people rim a cocktail glass with either salt or sugar?
Yeah.
But this is like salty sweet. So maybe you like rim a little bit of your glass with it.
Oh, that sounds good.
I'm going to try. If I still got some pretzels when it's time to go home, but I might not. So you might just see me back on the ordering list.
Okay.
Yes. Look, Shay J's cocktails.
That's all good.
All right. Which one of your items is the most labor intensive to prepare?
The most labor intensive is the cake. Which is why I stopped doing it for a while, and I explained how that we came back to that because it was making from scratch. Everything's made from scratch. The icing and everything. To me, that's more labor intensive. I can pop out candy all day, pralines, pretzels. I mean, I don't know. It just comes so easy for me, which is why I'm the candy lady. But when it comes to like the cake and stuff, I'm more. It's more tedious to me. Yeah. So.
Okay, one last question. This is very New Orleans based.
Okay.
Does okra belong in the gumbo?
It depends on who you ask. I say yes.
Okay, but I was going to jump out this window if you said no.
Yeah, I say, look, I eat it either way. The filet, the okra and all that. But I know some people don't like it. But I like okra in my gumbo.
Okay. You got it from a native, y'all.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
Oh, and back to, I remember this restaurant.
Yes.
Deanie's.
Oh, I've heard of Deanie's, but I've never been.
It's very good. And then there's a newer restaurant off of Esplanade. It's called Lil Dizzy's. They have really good brunch. Everything coming back to me now. quarter two sisters. So yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
and of course, my girl Leah Chase. Dookie Chase, yeah.
It was the peach cobbler of my life.
Oh my
at Dookie
God.
Chase. It was really good.
Yeah.
And I went I remember during Easter time, so they had gumbo's herbs, which was my first time having it. It was like that gumbo that's made of all those greens.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I've never had that.
That was really good.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah,
I never
went
had that
during
for
that
some
time
reason.
of year specifically because they only did it at a specific time of year, and I wanted to try it there. So, yes, you're in good company. Thank you for this. I will make sure that I share all of your information out with the show notes.
Yes, thank you.
And if y'all want to keep up with me in between episodes, you can find me at kayinthebay.com or on Instagram at heykayinthebay. That has been this week's episode of the As Told by podcast from the ATL. I'll be back in the Bay next episode. See y'all on the next one.